Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch the show. Have some, I think, pretty good tips for you today to get yourself ready before the election. I know a lot of you are long-term preppers. You have been preparing for the end of civilization your whole life. But many of you aren't. Some of you are just kind of waking up. Some of you want to prep, but you haven't yet. You don't know where to get started. And even some of you that are preppers, there's some things that you need to be getting ready. And so that's what the video is today about, and we'll get into that here in just a minute. I want to take a moment to invite you to like the video today, and certainly to join the party by subscribing to the channel. And on the side, when you do that, there'll be a little bell if you want to click that and on the bell, and that way you will get notifications from YouTube every time I post a video. All right, let's get into the 10 things that you need to be doing before the election. The election, as of the making of this video, is 22 days away. That's not a lot of time, but if you really work at it, if you put all your efforts into it, I believe you can go from being absolutely unprepared to being pretty prepared to get through the election and all the way up to the inauguration. From now to the inauguration is 99 days from the making of this video. And while there may be many more things lying ahead after that, if you can at least get through that time period, or at least have enough for that amount of time, you will be doing pretty good. Many people, including myself, believe that pretty much from now all the way through election and probably the inauguration, we're going to see a lot of craziness. We've seen it all year long, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime too soon. And then there's more stuff next year that looks like it's coming down the pike, but that will be another video. Getting ready before election is really going to be crucial for pretty much everyone, because there's hardly anyone probably in America right now that doesn't think that something crazy is most likely going to happen leading up to the election. And then most of Americans right now believe that the election itself is going to cause probably some civil unrest. It doesn't matter who wins. That right there, either one of them win, there's a chance of civil unrest being and happening. And then the fact that the results of the election could take weeks to determine. It's very likely that this election will end up in the courts to determine. There are so many uncertainties going on that this is an election like never before, and you need to be prepared for that. So that is number one. Number one is just being prepared, mentally prepared, aware that the odds of there being some type of civil unrest, the odds of there being shortages, the odds of it being just too dangerous to do a whole lot of moving around is very likely. Because not only are we dealing with the election coming up, we are also dealing with what appears to be a second wave of the pandemic. In the last week, several countries in Europe have reported the highest days yet since the beginning of this, of cases in some of these countries. So we're talking they were spiking, up in high numbers back in the spring, and then it kind of went through the summer. Europe was doing pretty good with very few cases every day, and now it's spiking again. So by the time the election gets here, there's a good chance that those numbers will start spiking here, because we got to add some more panic just before people go and vote, right? On top of all those things, we also have winter. Just the fact that it's a season and where it's cold, and because of many of us live in colder regions in the winter times, we do just have to kind of be a little bit more prepared. So when you throw it all together, along with many other things that are happening, we'll get into other videos on those, my advice is to be mentally and physically ready to at least get you by until the inauguration. And so today I want to give you some more tips on just how to do that. Number one, or number two, because number one is just mentally and being aware of it and being ready. So number two, this is something we talk about all the time, and that's food. You need to have enough food for you and your family, whoever's in your household, to get you through to the election. That's what I advise. And I know many of you are thinking, oh my goodness, that's a lot of food. 100 days, 99 days worth of food for my whole family? That's an impossibility. No one can store up that much food. No one can acquire that much food over the next 22 days. Yes, you can. It's not as difficult as you might think it be. So I've got a few numbers just to give you an example. So for one person eating 2,000 calories a day for the next 99 days, you need around 200,000 calories, right? If you just ate rice, which no one's going to eat rice, but just to give you an example, if you just ate rice for the next 99 days and you ate 2,000 calories of rice a day, you're looking at 200 pounds of rice per person. Now, of course, no one's going to eat a rice for the next 99 days, but the point is that it doesn't take that much rice or beans to set aside to have that as kind of your bulk of food. 5 bags of rice of the 20-pound bags, and you've got 100 pounds of rice. And 100 pounds of rice is half of the food that you will need for one person for the next 100 days. It's not that hard. 20-pound bags of rice aren't terribly expensive. Even at like Walmart, you can usually find them. Places, Costco, Sam's. If you have Hispanic Mexican food markets in your area, a lot of times you can buy bulk rice there pretty cheap, or Asian Oriental markets, you can buy rice. Same with beans. Get canned food, like the Progresso style or the Walmart store brand hearty Progresso style kind of soups where it's all together. You don't add water, everything's cooked. You don't even have to heat it. You can just eat it cold right out of the can. Stuff like that. Get a bunch of seasonings, beans, corn, canned foods to add to it, and have if your base is rice and beans, and then you have stuff to add to it, the bulk of the food that you're eating is going to be pretty cheap. We eat a lot of beans and rice around here because beans and rice is cheap. We have a big family. We add stuff to it, but the main bulk of the food that we eat a lot of times for meals is just beans and rice, and we add little stuff to it. So it's not too terribly difficult to come up with enough food for the next 99 days. Water. You need to have enough water, either water stored away or a source of water that you know is good. To give you an idea, of one person needs a minimum, and we're talking bare minimum, of 500 gallons of water for the next 100 days. That's not a lot. That's just basically enough water to drink, to do a little bathing, and some minimal cleaning of clothes. And that's very minimal, right? So I would advise at least 500 gallons, either stored away or have the ability to filter at least 500 gallons per person for the next 100 days. Something like a Berkey or an Alexa Pure water filter would work great. If you're interested in Alexa Pure, I have links below for that. And so while we're mentioning that, the link below that I will put in the description is preparewithtravis.com. It is a link that I and My Patriot Supply have teamed up on. We sell Alexa Pure water filters, and for food we sell some really amazing long-term foods. A brand that they have called Ready Hour, stuff like black bean soup, mac and cheese, home style soup, potato soup. You can buy the stuff in cans. This is the emergency type food that is freeze dried, so it's going to last 10, 25, 30 years. You can, like I said, buy it in cans like this, buy it in buckets inside the buckets. You've got these Mylar, heavy Mylar bags. They're Ziploc type things, so once you open it, you can reseal it and use out of that. The directions are on the back. All you do is add hot water, boiling water to them, and they have some really good products. And their turnaround time, they're really getting tons and tons of orders because of stuff going on, but they're still getting about a week and a half to 2 week turnaround time on orders, which is really good right now in the industry considering all the craziness that's going on. And their products are about the cheapest per calorie that you can get for freeze-dried long-term foods. So my camera is having a hard time focusing in, folks. It's really windy today, so that's why I'm standing underneath here to hopefully block the wind noise out. So I apologize for the light that's having a hard time focusing. So that is a good, that preparewithtravis.com, link in the description below. Now, what do you need next? Number 4, if you're on medication, talk to your doctor about getting some prescriptions and getting them filled before the election day. Make sure you have first aid supplies, things like ibuprofen, anything like that you might need. Have about a 3-month supply of them put away. You also need to, number 5, is have some things to keep your mind busy. Just keep yourself busy. You're probably going to be locked in, or at least having limited movement between the election, potential civil unrest, and a most likely second wave coming through. Especially if you live in a populated area, you may experience some more lockdowns or even more severe lockdowns. So there's a chance that you're going to be in your home a lot more than normal. Plus, it's winter. People don't go out and do a whole lot of stuff outside. So this winter, you need to plan on staying inside a lot, potentially because of all the factors that's going on. So that means that you and your family need to have some things to just keep your minds busy. You know, just stay busy. You get bored anyways in the winter time. Get that cabin fever, so have some stuff to keep yourself busy. All right, number 6, and this is really big. The vast majority of you deal with colder winters. There are, I'm sure, a few of you that are fortunate enough to live in areas that it's never really cold, but most of Americans are. So you need to have a heat source, or at least a backup heat source for this winter. It's very possible that there could be utility shortages, or there could be breaks in the utility. There could be all sorts of things that stem from the civil unrest. Having something like an indoor kerosene heater or an indoor propane heater, and make sure that they're indoor and they're safe for indoor uses. Look at them. Some of them you have to have ventilation. At least having like a window open or something like that, because if you don't do it right, you risk, injuring or even possibly killing yourself. But make sure you have it. Make sure you have enough fuel. Cans of propane, cans of kerosene, whatever it is. If you use wood to heat, make sure you have plenty of wood on hand to get you through the winter. All right, number 7. Keep your cars and your trucks' fuel tanks topped off. There could be fuel shortages. Gas prices could increase. There's all sorts of uncertain things that could happen over the next few months. Keep it topped off. I wouldn't let your gas tank drop below a quarter tank before you fill it up again. And make sure you keep anywhere between 15 and 25 gallons of fuel on hand. Those 5-gallon tanks that you can get at the, hardware store, department stores, whatever, big box stores. Keep 3 to 5 of them full, sitting in your garage. That way you have enough fuel that if something happens and you need to leave, you probably, most vehicles, 20 to 25 gallons of fuel for most vehicles will get you out of harm's way and get you to where you need to go. Which brings us to the number 8, and this is really for you folks that live in the city. Have a bug out plan. Work on it real quick though. And a bug out plan isn't just like running away, going out of the danger zone or out of the area and then just like, well, I'll just find a place out in the woods to go camp. No, you need to know definitely where you're going to go. You need to know, if you're going to go to a family member's house, which is a good idea. If you have family that live out in the country and you're able to, maybe you're still, alive, folks. This camera is really struggling keeping up with this light. Looked like I just was in heaven, right? If you have family that live out in the country or close friends, and maybe you're working from home, if you're able to go stay with them over the next few months, it would not be a bad idea to do so. Especially if you live in one of these areas that's kind of a hot zone for some civil unrest. Have a bug out plan. Have your plan where you know where you're going to go, and you have a plan of how you're going to get there, and have multiple different routes on how to get there in case one of them is shut down and fails. Also have a bug out bag ready on hand to take and go with you of the essentials that you need to leave quickly. Number 9, secure your money. I am not a financial expert. I'm not giving any kind of financial advice. But between the election, the virus, winter, all this possible civil unrest, and the fact that, International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, all these different organizations, secret societies, government agencies. There are financial advisors all over the country that are saying that there is a really good chance that we could see a market crash or even our dollar crash and hyper inflation and crash. There are people that are telling people right now to pull their money out of stock market. There's been financial experts that saying that they're getting all their money out of the market right now. Countries all over the world are putting everything into gold. There are a lot of things going on. I've been making other videos on this Great Reset and the global monetary crash. I've got another one coming up today on my Patreon page. If you want to go to Patreon, the link is down in the description below. It's only $1 a month, and I've got another one talking about all this stuff it's probably the main orchestration of everything that we've seen in 2020. But secure your money, meaning that you need to have it in tangible assets, okay? Tangible things. Whether it's bullets, food, gold, land, something like that. I'm not giving advice, I'm not giving recommendations. That's just what I would do. I wouldn't have it all stored away in the stock market or even in banks because there's some really uncertain things that's happening. So you want to make sure that your money is in a form that's usable, secured, and in your possession. All right, the very last thing, have a means of self-defense. I meant to have a couple of examples sitting here, and I kind of forgot to grab them, but have a means of self-defense. Now, right now, everyone knows guns and ammunition are hard to come by, and they're really expensive. And with the little amount of time left, you might say, hey, I can't go out and I don't have the money to hurry up and buy a gun and try to track down a bunch of ammunition for it. There are ways that you can do that are pretty cheap. You can still get 12 gauge pump shotguns, pretty basic ones, at Walmart for around $200. Some of them don't have them in stock anymore, but I've been checking and there's still several Walmart stores that have these things in stock. They're really plain and simple. They're nothing fancy. I get it, but they function great. I have one. They do great. They're not pretty and they're not fancy, but they're a 12 gauge pump shotgun that works. And you can still get 12 gauge ammunition just about anywhere. So for $250, you can have quite a bit of 12 gauge ammunition and a 12 gauge pump shotgun. And there's your means of self-defense. I would highly recommend doing something like this. Now, if you can afford to go out and buy an AR, or you can buy something that's much better than these H&R 12 gauge pump shotguns or something like that, then do it. But for those of you that are on a tight budget and you're trying to do all this all at once, something like that for about 250 bucks. You can go and buy you the 12 gauge shotgun and a pretty, around 100 rounds or so of ammunition, and of 12 gauge ammunition, and you can have a means for self-defense. It's not the best thing in the world, but it works, right? It works. No, you're not going to be Rambo and you're not going to be all tactical, but you're going to have something that you can protect yourself and your family. These are the 10 things that I highly recommend people do. Like I said, there's 22 days before the election as of the making of this video, and from the making of this video, it's 99 days to the inauguration. During those 2 time periods, things could get pretty crazy here in the United States, so I suggest to all of you do everything you can to get ready for it. And you know what? If in the end nothing happens and everything's smooth, all this stuff that you've purchased and done, it's just stuff to put away for a rainy day or a storm, and you've not really lost anything. All right, folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.